Hi, my name is Pratt, Rochester Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee, Local 86 in Rochester, New York. I had a few people reaching out to me asking about my motor control board. This is a really nice little roll around. The mobility is the number one thing I like about this. Motor control board for teaching, I teach motor controls 1 and 2. It's a Kindor frame with some casters. You can pretty much get those at Home Depot. I recommend getting larger casters than I use. These things are a little too small. You want some beefcake. There's a lot of weight on here. You can see that one's pretty much starting to kick out right now. It's two-sided, which is good. I'll show you the other side in a second. It's basically a bunch of ice cube relays. This is all 24 volts to kind of keep it safer for everybody. There is some 120 on here. I basically just took a bunch of relay bases, 8-pin bases, a couple 11-pin bases, some time delay relays, emergency stop, start, stop, handoff auto, on, off, and what we got? Forward and reversing. I have a forward and reversing motor contactor here. Some lights, all 24 volts again, siren. So I got a bunch of inputs and outputs. Here's my 24 volt transformer. For some of my labs that has not been, that's a 100 VA, it has not been enough. So I have had to incorporate other transformers. And it's nice, if it's plywood I can just screw them on the board wherever I want to. Here is a master switch for the 24 volts with a pilot light, which is very nice to see if the board is on. I got a little wire spool down here, which is also handy, so the kids can they don't have to look around or have another cart. I don't have it right now, but I have like a little tool thing right here that holds strippers and screwdrivers and all of that. This is a very basic, basically a blank slate for motor controls class. So what I do is I have a bunch of labs, which I'm more than happy to share with you. I'll put my link to my dump site, which is a Google Forms link. I'll have to find it, but I will attach it to this video. That we could all start sharing if you want to. But it's very simple. Like, here is a task. I don't have it in front of me. I wish I did. But I have water tanks, pumps, fans, heaters. You can just basically take anything you want and bring it into this board. I have another video. It has a game show stage. I ran it all off of this board initially, and then we actually made an enclosed separate control board for that. But this was the instrument that we used to develop the game show and everything too. Let me show you the other side real quick. On this side, I have, this is actually a dehumidifier system that I took out of the University of Rochester. They let me have it. What's cool about this is the actual original, 1990s wiring schematic, and this is all wired exactly and precisely to this drawing. Makes it for a great mechanism for teaching troubleshooting skills. So I can manipulate things, change settings, maybe disconnect a wire, and have them troubleshoot why isn't this working. Also, I have like 2 or 3 labs. I have a sequence of operations right here. I could go into more detail on this board. I'm not going to in this video. Right here is cool is I have a handoff auto system. This also came out of the original dehumidifier. What's neat about this is I have this, or at least I had it, wired in where in the auto setting I would put an Alexa plug in here, and I could actually simulate from my phone the auto side of the operation. So if during their troubleshooting sequences they could I could play with it or mess with them during the testing sequence. This was originally a 480 volt 3-phase dehumidifier. Obviously we don't want to bring 480 volt wide open in here, so I knocked it down to 208. So everything is 208. These motors simulate, let's see if I can find it right here. This is basically the process. You don't have to get into it really, but these are all the components of the system, and these are just basically mock-ups, but it's fully functional. So the whole board, front and back, runs off of 480 volt, 3-phase 4-wire, 208 120. I have an extension cord made for it. It powers both sides of the board. Each side of the board has its own separate disconnect. And if you wanted to, and I have not, but you could actually run, a lab on this side and a lab on that side. Again, I can't stress how the mobility of it is nice, because we just moved schools recently, but I had an outlet for this in my classroom, and I had an outlet for it in the lab space. So I was able to move it around and hook it up where I wanted to. Very friendly. Again, this side is very safe. I got drives, reversing motors, and I actually had, this is actually a braking motor. Yeah, that's about it. We've had got a lot of use out of this. And what I do with this too is I incorporate the CMH software. It's called the Constructor. Also in my link that I'll put at the bottom of this video, over here on the screen is just a quick example of the type of stuff you can do. What's really great about this software is that you can plug all the pieces together, and you can flip this switch right here to on, and you can simulate it. So two things. One is, if I'm going to develop a lab, I can do it all on the simulator, turn it on, and actually test and prove it ahead of time. The other thing is, if we're like developing something or we're having a challenge, such as the game show or the pump stations that I did, it's awesome for troubleshooting or for trying to figure it out. Like, this isn't working, we're having a conflict here, the relay's latching and not unlatching. We can go back to the original wiring diagram in the simulator, change things, and see what happens together as a class. So that's it for today. So thanks for watching.